John starts us off today with an island, while Tom plays a Hush with Verge, Extra plays a Tap Steam Vents, and Sam plays a Spire Garden before passing back to John. John then kicks off the first proper turn of the game and plays a Lava Glide Pathway, then casts Lizard Blades. He passes to Tom. Tom plays a Plains and casts his commander, Black Panther, Wakandan King, triggering his effect to put a counter on his Plains. After that, he passes. Extra plays a Sulphur Falls, followed by a Firebrand Archer, and a pass to Sam. Sam plays a Forest, then casts an Arcane Signet, before giving the turn back to John. John plays a Flood Farm Verge, and casts his commander, Captain America, First Avenger. He goes to combat, triggering Captain to equip Blades, and passes. Tom plays a Blinkmoth Nexus, then casts an Awakening Zone, before attacking Extra with Panther, and giving him the turn. Extra plays a Command Tower, followed by a Getter Snipe. He then goes to combat, getting a bit of payback by sending his Archer at Tom. Once the score is settled, he passes to Sam. Sam plays a Forest, and ends his turn with a Woodland Liege. John plays in a Darkar Waste, then casts both an Izzet Signet and a Sunforger. He goes to combat, triggering Captain to equip Sunforger, before sending him in Extra's direction, and passing the turn. On Tom's upkeep, Zone triggers, making an Eldrazi spawn, alongside Panther putting a counter onto Blinkmoth. He casts Kami of Whispered Hopes, again triggering Panther on Blinkmoth, then gives the turn to Extra. Extra plays a Mountain, and casts an Airborne Flamesmith. He then goes for a bit of Fireworks, casting Preordain, which triggers Gutter Snipe to deal 2 to each opponent, Archer to deal 1, and Flamesmith to deal another 1. He does this again with Serum Visions, triggering Gutter Snipe, Archer, and Flamesmith, before passing to Sam. Sam plays a Keswick Wolfrun and casts his commander, Slinza, the Spiked Stampede, importantly forgetting about the second line of text. It entering triggers Liege to draw, followed by a move to the end step where Tom inserts himself with a Path to Exile, exiling Captain, and giving John a Mountain. John pays 2 life to play a Steam Vents, then recasts his commander, Captain America, First Avenger. Next he casts a Colossus Hammer, and goes to combat, triggering Captain to equip said hammer. Once equipped, he gives the turn to Tom. On Tom's upkeep, Zone triggers to make an Eldrazi spawn, alongside Panther putting 2 counters onto Blinkmoth. He casts an Innkeeper's Talent, then goes straight to combat, triggering Innkeeper to give Kami 2 counters. In his second main, he casts a Staff of Completion, and passes the turn. Extra plays Mountain, and starts the turn off with a Krark the Thumbless. He then goes for a Crimson Wisps, triggering Gutter Snipe, Archer, and Flamesmith to deal damage, while Krark flips and copies the spell. Next he goes for a Might of the Meek, once again triggering Gutter Snipe, Archer, and Flamesmith, while having Krark copy the spell as well. He finishes off the turn with a Soul Ring, triggering Flamesmith, and a Talisman of Creativity, also triggering Flamesmith. Sam plays a Forest, then casts a Rampaging Balefs, triggering Liege to draw, and Slinza to fight Krark. After that, he sends Slinza at Extra, and gives the turn back to John. John plays a Sundown Pass, followed by a Hexplate Wallbreaker, triggering its effect to make a Rebel. He goes to combat, triggering Captain to try and equip Sunforger, but is met by a Staff of Completion activation from Tom, paying 2 life for mana, in order to cast a Bovine Intervention, destroying Captain. With his commander gone, John passes the turn. On Tom's upkeep, Zone triggers to make an Eldrazi spawn, alongside Panther putting 2 counters onto Blinkmoth. He goes straight to combat, triggering Innkeeper to put 2 counters on Kami before giving the turn to Extra. Extra plays a Storm-Carved Coast, then finally casts his commander, Niv-Mizzet, Visionary. Next he casts Expressive Iteration, triggering Guttersnipe, Archer, and Flamesmith, but is interrupted by John and his Rebel Salvo, taking out Niv-Mizzet before any cards are drawn. The triggers resolve, dealing a total of 4 damage to each opponent, followed by a resolution of Expressive Iteration. Extra then casts the exiled Strike It Rich, triggering Guttersnipe, Archer, and Flamesmith, followed closely by a pass to Sam. Sam plays a Forest, triggering Bailoff to make a Beast, Liege to draw, and Slinza to fight the Rebel. Once that's done, he sends the Bailoff at Extra, and gives the turn back to John. John plays a Sulphur Falls, then once again recasts his commander, Captain America, First Avenger. He goes to combat, triggering Captain to equip Sunforger once more, and yet again he is met by a staff activation from Tom, this time paying 3 to proliferate, followed by a Panther activation to move all the counters from Blink Mob to Kami, drawing a card and gaining 9 life. He now uses this massive Kami to cast a Grand Crescendo for X equals 17, but is quickly stopped by Sam and his Entish Restoration, sacrificing a Forest to get 3 new ones. This triggers Bailoff to make 3 beasts, Liege to draw 3 cards, and Slinza to fight Panther before the creatures enter. Crescendo then resolves, alongside the Sunforger equip, which is immediately used to fetch up a dispatch from his deck, exiling Tom's massive Kami. After all that, the turn finally goes to Tom. On Tom's upkeep, Zone triggers to make an Eldrazi spawn. He first casts a Jaheira, Friend of the Forest, followed by a Caretaker's Talent, and an activation of his staff, paying 2 life to level up Talent, using its effect to copy a citizen, triggering Talent's first effect to draw a card. He activates his staff once more, this time to untap it in order to pay 2 life, and again level up Talent. After that, he plays a tapped Lush Portico, surveilling to the top, and passes. Extra has a more simple turn, playing a mountain, and recasting his commander, Niv-Mizzet Visionary. Sam first mutates Gemrazor onto Liege, triggering its effect to destroy John's Talent. He plays a Forest, triggering Bailoff to make a Beast, followed by a Goreclaw, Terror of Calcisma, Thragtusk, triggering its effect to gain 5 and Liege to draw, and Anara, Woolwood Familiar, triggering Liege to draw, and Slinza to fight Niv-Mizzet. In response to this, Extra casts a Reality Shift on Slinza, triggering Guttersnipe, Archer, and Flamesmith to deal 4 damage to each opponent, having Niv draw a total of 12 cards. After Shift resolves, Sam goes to combat, sending Bailoff at Extra, which is then blocked by Niv, trying to preserve his life total. After that, he passes back to John. John first equips Sunforger onto Captain, then casts a Haunted Cloak, also equipping it onto Captain. He goes to combat, triggering Captain's effect to equip Colossus Hammer, before sending Captain at Extra. In response, Extra casts Pongify on Captain, triggering Guttersnipe, Archer, and Flamesmith. John has a response of his own, activating Sunforger to get a Swords to Plowshares, exiling his own Captain in order to gain a much needed 14 life. With the combat ending in failure, he gives the turn to Tom. On Tom's upkeep, Zone triggers to make an Eldrazi spawn. He plays a tapped Lair of the Hydra, then goes straight to combat, triggering Innkeeper to give Jaheira a counter. He then sends 13 citizens at Extra, making him die to combat damage. Once Extra is out of the picture, he passes the turn to Sam. Sam plays a Contested Cliffs and recasts his commander, Slinza, the Spiked Stampede, triggering Liege to draw. Next he casts a Patchwork Banner, naming Beast, followed by a Thunderfoot Baloth, triggering Slinza to fight Jaheira. He then goes to combat, sending his buffed up army at John and Tom, taking them both out, and securing himself the win.